Sorry about that. My iPad seems to be having some confidence issues. Okay, so we go from the idea of dread to despair. Despair is an absolutely amazing event when it happens well in literature, but you don't see it very often, and when it does happen, it's kind of loose and it can be very hard to identify. Part of the reason I've chosen this comic as the first thing that we're going to read in detail is because, in my humble opinion, it has one of the best examples of existential despair that I've ever seen, and we'll see if you guys can pick it out. Despair is a little bit more than dread. Dread is when you sense your inability to make a decision, or your fear of making a decision, when you're afraid of actually being honest with what it is you really want, and afraid that you're going to be judged for it and the consequences that it will have. When you realize you're wholly and totally responsible for those actions, and you realize there's absolutely nothing you can do to escape that, that is despair. And that is the emotion you feel when it all comes crashing down. And it can be an amazingly horrifying moment. When you realize most of the time in life, you're very carefully abdicating your responsibility in situations. It's not my fault because my car broke down. It's not my fault because I was sick. It's not my fault I didn't get my work done on time. I was very tired. All of that is essentially bull. You are responsible for everything that happens to you. You make your choices, and you are responsible for the choices that you make. If your car breaks down, you didn't make the choice to keep trying to do whatever it was you were trying to do. Or your negligence in maintaining your vehicle, or your inability to financially afford maintaining your vehicle is the reason that happened. It's nothing to do with you abdicating your responsibility. You are responsible for your outcomes. When people overcome, and when people finally see how hopeless it is to get rid of responsibility, it's one of those things that can absolutely tear a person's mind apart. It's scary. We desperately want to have things that take our responsibility away because it's easier, because it's less frightening. But that's also the moment where we can become the most authentic, where we become 100% wholly and truly ourselves. It is very difficult to maintain that level of authenticity because eventually, when you are completely 100% in yourself, it's so easy to start making excuses again. To say, nah, I can't control that. I'm going to let somebody else make that decision for me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You get lost in the things that define you, or at least you think define you. And for Sartre, that is extremely problematic. As long as you're alive, you are desperately trying to sell out your responsibility and your autonomy because it's easy. And when you cannot do that, and when you have to be honest with yourself about just how meaningless everything is, and how you are solely responsible for creating yourself, you have achieved authenticity. And another one of the things that I love about this comic is that authenticity is also extremely difficult to maintain. Once you slide out of it, it's ridiculously hard to get back there. You end up going through the same process again. That you feel the dread coming, then you despair at the moment of complete and total responsibility, and then you either sink back into self-deception, basically, loaning out your autonomy, or you do something authentic. So authenticity is another very important phrase here. Now, Sartre had another amazing phrase that kind of played into this process. That's bad faith. A lot of people hear bad faith and they're like, oh, especially considering Sartre was a absolute firebrand atheist. What he means by bad faith, it has nothing to do with religion, although he does apply it to religion at several points, but what he's mainly talking about is self-deception. We all love to lie to ourselves. We're very good at it. As we walk through our lives and we say, it wasn't my fault that happened that way, something else happened, or I'm not this person, or I don't want to be this. We lie to ourselves, especially when we're like in that relationship. Oh, it's okay. He loves me. I know he does. I believe he does. I'm not going to pay attention to all those signs that suggest otherwise. That's bad faith. You can't lie to yourself for long. You can keep it up for a long time, but it's going to end up you can't do it forever. You eventually come to the moment where you must confront the things that you are the most afraid of. When that happens in literature, it's an amazing moment because it's a very human moment. As we all, go throughout our lives making daily decisions, we often lose sight of how much impact it is, and we lose sight of just how much we lie to ourselves every single day as we just, loan out through bad faith our autonomy. We're terrified of responsibility. Now, I'm going to end it here. That's a pretty good guide to existentialism. At least gives you a few of the terms you can use when you start approaching the subject. Friday, I'll post the comic Bittersweet Candy Bowl. I'll give you a little bit of an introduction to it, and I'll tell you the characters, and I'll tell you what to look for. Till then,